In 2023, WCPT 820 is where facts matter.
Information is power.
In-depth analysis. Thought-provoking conversation.
Stay informed to know what's going on.
People are demanding that their voices be heard.
Chicago's Progressive Talk is WCPT 820, where facts matter.
The following program, The Lightning Strike, is sponsored by Mohammed Fahim, and to the extent applicable, their guests. The views and opinions expressed therein do not necessarily reflect those of NewsWeb Radio Company or its management.
Get ready to be jolted out of the ordinary and into a world where conversations are charged with intensity and facts. The Lightning Strike Talk Radio with your host, Mohammed Fahim, broadcasting live from the heart of the city on Chicago's Progressive Talk Radio, WCPT 820 AM. Welcome to a radio show that charges through the airwaves with an electricity like no other. Here's your host, Mohammed Fahim.
Good morning, Chicago, and welcome to another edition of the Lightning Strike. I'm your host, Mohammed Fahim. Joining me in the studio today, John Arena and Ken DeLuke. And
good morning.
Of course, every day in the mornings with us on Sundays is Tyree Pipkins. He's going to be here for about 3 more weeks, you said, right, Tyree? Yep. And then he's picking up a job at the post office for the holidays. So Tyree would be in the background going forward, maybe about a month from now. Okay. And if you have any questions, concerns, if you want to talk about any topics, feel free to call in. Our number is 773-763-9278. And Ken, you want to introduce who's going to be our guest today?
We have a very interesting guest. He is the communications director for the Citizens Utility Board. So later on, we'll be talking to Jim Chilson.
Wonderful. And our person of the week is also going to be in a few seconds. Sheila White, our segment producer, has brought in a very interesting guest today, John. His name is Lawrence.
Okay.
And Lawrence is somebody that is an actor. He's a comedian. He's got multiple personalities, let me put it that way. Okay. But
that's good for a comedian, right?
Yeah, I'll let Sheila introduce Lawrence to you. And also in the second half of the show around 9:30, we'll have Ray Hanania, who is a Palestinian journalist and author and a writer, comedian, come in and talk about some of the issues that are current now. And also not tomorrow, on the 14th, it'll be exactly a month since that horrific murder of Wadia Al-Fayumi in Plainfield. So we need to recognize and pay some attention to what is happening in our country, all this hate that is out there. And we have got a program going on, folks, on the 15th of November. That is this coming Wednesday. We have got a community and interfaith gathering in Plainfield to talk about how we can, be friends with each other, be neighbors with each other. How can we break down the barriers that the media has been creating among the communities? So if you have the time in the evening on the 15th, please do join us, and you can go to Aman Inc. ANINC.org to see the details and sign up to come in as a guest. And this evening is going to be at the Life Spring Community Church in Plainfield. And with that, let's go with our person of the week to start off our show on this Sunday. Sheila, good morning. You are on.
Good morning, everyone. I'm really excited to be here this morning, and I'm really excited about our guest that we have with us today on the Lightning Strike. His name is Mr. Lawrence Johnson, and he is an actor that has appeared on Chicago PD, Chicago Fire, and the star-studded Empire television series that has been on television. He's a real crowd pleaser, and he's been climbing the charts in different television productions across the nation. And he's also a director and a producer. And so welcome to the show, Lawrence.
Thank you very much. Glad to be here.
Good morning, Lawrence. I was just talking about to you before Sheila introduced you as a man with multiple personalities. Welcome.
That's me. That's for sure. That's what my wife tells me all the time.
Now, when you talk about your wife, which one?
I know, right?
Ouch.
Trying to keep up, Mark.
with multiple personalities, I don't know, man, how many wives he has out there.
Oh, for sure.
You know,
for sure.
I want to ask Lawrence. Lawrence, we know that the SAG strike has just ended recently, and a lot of actors across the nation have been really relieved and so happy to be able to get back to work and things like that. I just want to first ask you a question about why were the actors so concerned about the AI technology, and how important was that to them?
Well, with the AI technology, they could take your image and utilize your image on as long as they want for a flat rate fee. So basically, they could pay you a flat rate, and they didn't have to pay you any residuals after the fact, and use your image. And so you would not get paid. They could use your face, your image, your person, your look, basically on anybody, or any film, any movie, any short film, whatever the case may be. And you would only get paid once, and you would not get paid anymore after the fact.
So you mean people would be able to, they could use your image with the AI, an actor could be paid one time if they sign off on that, and that image and likeness can be used perpetually for years without them receiving any pay, is that it?
Exactly. And not only that, that would take away from, utilizing the regular actors and movies and things of that nature. So, studios and, things of that nature would not have to pay you anymore after the fact, after they paid you that one flat rate. Whether it's $10 or whether it's $100,000, whether it's $1 million, they could pay you that flat rate and you'd be done.
Well, that doesn't
And
sound
Mohammed,
fair.
I think this is a reason. It's not fair, and I think this is the reason why so many people are upset. There's so much going on in our country, as you mentioned earlier, with the hate and things, but the financial disparities with these unions and different people, that's a whole nother issue, and it's just not right for the networks to take the bulk of the money where the people at the bottom are really doing the work, and a lot of people love these actors and these television shows and, night television shows and all of that. So it's a disparity, I would say.
And I'm glad you guys stood up for your rights, man. Come on, it's not fair, okay? And if not for unions, we would not have any kind of parity in our country. So go unions, God bless unions.
I agree 100%.
Right.
And with that being said, with the strike being over now for the actors. It was over for the writers a little while back, but for the actors, now we feel relieved. So now we'll start seeing auditions coming in for network, television shows, movies, things of that nature. So a lot of us were doing independent films, plays, things of that nature, just to keep ourselves busy and occupied. But now we'll start seeing the network auditions come through now, and really looking forward to that.
Okay, sounds good. So, Lawrence, let me ask you this: as an actor, with all these things that you have done, what was your favorite role?
Oh, it would have to be Chicago Fire for sure. I got to say that was one of my biggest bookings. I played a construction foreman, and I had a chance to work with some of the major players that I see on TV all the time. That I look up to and, want to emulate and want to be like for the most part, as far as acting goes, So I definitely can appreciate their skill set, and hopefully I could be there one day.
Okay.
But I've always liked playing the bad guy, too, as well. So
you look like a bad guy, man. Come on, I met you in person. I wouldn't want to meet you in a dark alley. Let me put it this way. Okay.
I definitely appreciate it. But I'm a happy-go-lucky guy in general. So
yeah, that's what they all say. That's what they all say. So if someone wants to get into this gig, how did you get into this?
Well, I would say first find a mentor, somebody that can steer you in the right direction. because when I first started, I was kind of all over the place. I was going to people that wanted you to pay them for their service, and that's not the way it works. When you get an agent, the agent gets 10% of whatever you make, and they work for you, and you don't work for them, so to speak. So I was going to these places where they say, "Hey, if you pay me $100, I can get you on the show," or or whatever it may be. And so until I found a mentor that said, "No, that's not the way you do it," So I would say find a mentor that can point you in the right direction, tell you where to go, what to do, and that's the best way to do it. Don't try to do it on your own. Try to win, because you'll waste a lot of time spinning your wheels, and you'll be further along than most people if you get a mentor at a time.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much for your time, Lawrence, and it's always good to talk to you. To meet you in person was an honor. And Sheila, thank you so much for bringing in such a great guest for us today.
You bet.
I appreciate it. Thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
Okay, wonderful. So, folks, you are tuned in to the Lightning Strike. I'm your host, Muhammad Fahim. With me in the studio today, John Arena, former Chicago City Council member and alderman for the 45th Ward, John.
Yep.
So what is happening in City Hall that we need to know about?
There's a lot going on, a little bit of controversy going on as the mayor's trying to get his first full budget passed. There was some controversy around his floor leader and also Alderman Rosa from the 35th Ward is his floor leader and chair of the zoning committee.
Okay.
And there was some controversy that I think was a little bit ginned up by 15 Ward Alderman Raymond Lopez about some intimidation tactics. It's like some of these things, there's a little bit of smoke and people are screaming fire. So he ended up stepping down from those two roles. The challenge, I think, from my perspective, having been through the budget process 8 times, is this is a critical time to have a floor leader to make sure that people are getting the good information. Council members are getting good information about what's in the budget, making sure that there's a roll call going on and making sure you can get this passed before the end of the month.
Okay.
Because it has to be passed and published by the first of the year. That's
first of the year, right?
Fiscal year begins.
Yep.
So that's a little bit of a challenge right now for the mayor. This is a really important budget. It's his first budget. We've been running on the end of the last administration's budget, which is traditional, the standard when you come into office. And he's got a lot of things going on. We've got the migrant crisis. We've got a lot of money that's got to go to help stand up some of these shelters because the weather's going to start turning pretty quick here. He's done some great stuff. I think he's gotten past this week. They passed the 10-week paid leave, which extended it from 5. That had been passed back when I was in office. The 5. Or just after I left office, actually, they extended it to 5 days for sick pay. Now it's 10 full days. That'll go into effect the beginning of this year.
And I think especially most of the local restaurant employers are protesting against that. They're threatening to move out of the city and go to other places because they don't want to pay for this. I mean, come on, man.
Well, I can say I was in council for 8 years, and if there's one thing that the Illinois Restaurant Association, the Chamber of Commerce, there isn't a move city council can make that they don't say all businesses are going to leave. And the reality is there's things that happen on the margins.
Yeah.
But if a business, they would come to us and say, well, they're going to move to, Forest Park or any place that's just outside the city boundaries. It's an expensive proposition to move your business.
Yeah.
Nobody makes that choice based on one policy. Now, a lot of things can add up to decide whether a business is going to move or not, but it's not going to be this. This is something that's going to stabilize their workforce. These kind of benefits, actually, studies have shown, minimum wage benefits, human right benefits that you're able to provide for your family and be there for your family when they're sick, when you're sick, things like that. Those things generally actually increase worker retention and then increase economic activity because now these people can be going out and spending money.
One of the, you mentioned a word here called worker retention, and I was in workforce and economic development for almost 15, 20 years of my life recently. Retaining a worker and training a worker. I think there was a study that was done, some years back for McDonald's to hire and train a fry cook, what is the cost?
Yeah, that's
one
a real
fry cook for a company like McDonald's. You know what the cost was, Ken?
$27.32.
No, sir.
Okay.
It was averaging
than
about $24,000.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay.
So the real challenge for businesses is retaining. It's more costly for them to lose workers to a business that's providing better benefits and better wages, and that's the thing that businesses have complained about, that they can't hold workers. So because right now it's a employee centric market because unemployment's low.
Yep.
So this is responding to a real need, and there's a lot of those tropes that come out, like no businesses are going to be here.
Yeah.
This is the city of Chicago. We're pretty resilient, and we have a great consumer base.
Yes.
And so they do want to be here.
Well, I'm glad that that thing is brought out. So we'll take a quick break, and then on the back end of the break, we are going to come in with Ray Hanania, who is, a wonderful author, journalist, comedian also, who will be joining us and talking about some of the current issues. Stay tuned, folks. The number to call in is 773-763-9278. I'm your host, Mohammed Fahim. You're tuned in to The Lightning Strike on Chicago's progressive talk radio station, WCPT 820 AM.
Did you know there's an Illinois mandate that states by 2025, ComEd has to have 25% of the energy they deliver come from a green source? Because of this, plus the fees and taxes you've already paid on this program, if you qualify, you can get solar on your home at no out-of-pocket cost. This can mean an average savings on your electric bill of maybe 30 to 50%. More importantly, it would eliminate the uncertainty of ComEd raising your rates by whoever knows how much each year. Some people have noticed a 41% increase on their bill this spring, and ComEd has been asking for another 80% increase over the next 4 years. If your average bill is $200 a month now, maybe it could be reduced to $100 a month. Now, 5 years, would you rather pay $115 or possibly $400 to $500? If you'd like to see if you can qualify for this program, call Ken DeLuke at 312-617-8979. That's 312-617-8979. Help us save the environment and change that electric bill burden. That's 312-617-8979. Take advantage of this program while it's still available.
Are you a business looking for the right talent or a job seeker searching for your dream career? Look no further than the Center for Strategic Solutions, your workforce solutions experts. Our experienced team at the Center for Strategic Solutions is dedicated to connecting employers with top-tier talent and helping job seekers find opportunities that truly align with their goals.
You're hired.
We're more than just consultants. We're your partners in success. Ready to take your workforce to the next level or land that ideal job? Contact the Center for Strategic Solutions today at 1-847-306-9274 or visit us online at www.cfss.us. The Center for Strategic Solutions, your bridge to a brighter future in the Windy City. The number to call is 847-306-9274 or send us an email at info@cfss.us. That is info@cfss.us.
Welcome back to the Lightning Strike with Mohammed Fahim.
Welcome back, folks, and you are tuned into the Lightning Strike on Chicago's progressive talk radio station, AM 820 WCPT. And on the second side of the second break, we're going to bring in Ray Hanania as our guest. And right now, we are going to be talking with Jim Chisholm. And Ken, you want to introduce Jim and tell us who he is and why he is on WCPT with us today?
Yeah, Jim is, for 23 years, he's been the Director of Communications for the Citizens Utility Board. And there's quite a few things in the energy specter that you right on listen to because it's going to help you take good notes when he comes on.
Okay, so the Citizens Utility Board, right? What do you guys do? Jim, welcome to WCPT. I'm Mohammed Fahim.
Thanks.
Over here with me in the studio is John Arena also. So we're going to be asking you some tough questions, my friend.
Uh-oh. Thank you, sir. How you doing?
I'm doing
Hi,
very
Ken.
well.
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Good.
So tell us a little bit about the Citizens Utility Board. Who are you guys?
Yeah.
When did you start? I believe one of our former governors was also part of the Citizens Utility Board a long time back, right?
That's right. You got it right, sir. Good friend, former Governor Pat Quinn, still is a good friend. to Cub. He spearheaded the referendum drive across the state of Illinois that showed overwhelming support for a concept of having a group that would advocate for utility customers. At the time, ComEd was coming before the Illinois Commerce Commission nearly every year with huge rate hike requests, and the idea was consumers needed an advocate, not just against the electric utilities, because we all know ComEd and Ameren, Illinois, downstate are behemoths and big monsters to deal with, or giants to deal with, but also the gas utilities. And that is a growing issue as Chicago right now is in the middle of a heating affordability crisis. And so this is becoming a bigger and bigger issue. So they said we should have some type of advocate. So I'm very proud to work for the Citizens Utility Board. We're a group of about 20 people. We cover the entire state of Illinois, and our job is just to hold utilities accountable and show people how to cut their utility bills. And we do that a number of ways. We hold hundreds of free events across the state of Illinois. We staff those. We just were in, just the other day we were in Carbondale, and we did an event in Evanston last weekend, so we covered the entire state, and we show people how to cut their utility bills. We also have a legal team that challenges rate hikes. And right now, we are having a record-setting year, and it's not a good record, is that all of the major utilities in the state are asking for a combined total of $2.9 billion in rate hikes. And this Thursday is a major judgment day because all of the gas utility rate hikes, Peoples Gas, Nicor, Ameren Gas, and North Shore Gas, they're all being decided this Thursday before the Illinois Commerce Commission. And then ComEd and Ameren's rate hikes are being decided December 14th. So we are hoping to cut those. Our legal team has done a great job. We've argued that that ComEd's rate hike, they're asking for $1.5 billion over the next 4 years.
I have a question on that, Jim.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I'm familiar with the ComEd part of this equation. The $1.5 billion they're planning over the next 4 years counts to about an 80% increase on somebody's bill. Now, what they tell us is that they have to do this because the infrastructure, over 75% of existing grid is over 25 years old, and they need this to get it upgraded. So if they don't receive this money, where's the money going to come from? Now, with increasing solar customers and less people paying ComEd money, they're having less and less money to cover these costs. So what do we do?
Hey, Ken, that is an excellent question. Yeah, because my electric bill right now, after we put on solar panels, I'm paying ComEd about $15 a month for my meter rental.
Yeah. Well, part of the problem with the ComEd rate hike is that, they like to hide behind clean energy. They just got done with a decade worth of upgrades to the system, by putting in smarter meters. And that's been largely in terms of reliability, and, that's been an improvement. But, the company hides behind clean energy. This $1.5 billion rate hike, is largely about the company clawing for a bigger profit rate for their shareholders. And our people looked at it, our legal team and the people who analyzed, our analysts looked at it, and they recommended cutting that rate hike by $915 million, by more than 60%. So a lot of this is about the company saying that they need this rate hike, but actually what they're trying to do is fight for a bigger profit rate for their shareholders. To give you an idea, right now they've got a 7.85% profit rate, or return on equity profit rate for their shareholders. They want to increase that in this rate case to 10.5% and then rising to 10.65%.
So, Jim,
and that's just ridiculous.
Jim,
the company doesn't get a blank check.
Yeah, let me ask you this. And I know that in most negotiations, if they want $500 million, they will ask for, $1.5 billion, because they know that eventually they will end up getting what they actually wanted. So in this particular situation, is that the game that they are playing and you guys are playing along with it and falling into the trap?
No, I don't think we're falling into their trap, but you're right. The companies play games like this all the time. The utilities come before the commission. They want more and more money. They want to increase their profits. And what we're trying to do is make them more honest in this case. So we feel really strongly that, at least it should be cut by $915 million. Now, that's not including other recommendations by the Illinois Attorney General's office. There's other parties in this case that have gotten involved. But from where we stand, at the very least, they should be cutting it by $915 million. So what we always say is, of course, the company, we always say this, they need to keep up their system.
Right.
They need to maintain it. They don't get a blank check.
Right. I'm so glad that you guys are there, Jim. And, I wish more and more people get to know about what the Citizens Utility Board does and the importance of it. How does a common person like me and Ken, John obviously is not a common person. He's been in the city council, so he knows.
I'm a regular guy.
Okay. How does a regular person get their voice heard in this kind of a situation?
I like regular person rather than just common, because I don't consider you guys common. So well, number one, all of our services are free. We're a nonprofit, and our job is to serve Illinois consumers. So number one, I would start by visiting our website, citizensutilityboard.org. Not only, I mentioned what the outreach team does, I mentioned what our legal team does. We also have a 1-800 number at 1-800-669-5556. And that is a great resource as well as our website at citizensutilityboard.org. We have a library of free publications. In fact, we just put out, I'm very proud of this, Cubs Guide to Solar. And that is in our, you can look under resources and go to our catalog, our guide catalog. We have, dozens of catalogs of guides that we put out to help people cut their utility bills and make their energy cleaner. But if you have a problem or a question or an inquiry about your utility bills, and you've gone to the utility and you've gotten nowhere. A lot of people say, I went to ComEd, I got nowhere, they were rude to me, or I didn't even talk to a live person. You can always, if you've gone to the utility, have had no luck, you can always call our 1-800 number, 1-800-669-5556, and we have trained consumer counselors to listen to your question, to listen to your complaint. And then if there is a complaint to be made, we will file a complaint with the ComEd or any utility that you're dealing with. And I can't guarantee this. I get in big trouble, but I have seen people call that line and actually cut their bill by hundreds of dollars because either the Cub team found an error or they were able to educate the consumer about how they were overpaying.
Hey, Jim, final question, okay? And
yes.
I'm just playing Donald Trump's advocate. I use Donald Trump's advocate. I don't use the term,
interchangeable with the devil.
John, you said interchangeable with the devil. I didn't. But,
I call him as I see him.
Okay. Who pays for your services? If you're a nonprofit, who's funding you?
Yeah, really good question. So we do get grants, but we also get donations of as little as $5 a year from Illinois consumers across the state of Illinois. So when we were created back in 1983 by the Cub Act, we opened our doors in 1984. The part of our mission was that we were going to advocate for utility customers, and if utility customers wanted to give us donation, they could. So you can go to citizensutilityboard.org and give us a donation to help support our efforts. If you're not able to do that right now, we still help people. We don't ask anybody, to give a donation to get help. It'd always be nice if you can give a donation, but and that helps support our services, and also we get some grants. But over the years, we've helped save Illinois consumers, and this is a number that's been vetted by the Illinois Commerce Commission. We've helped save Illinois consumers more than $20 billion by fighting rate hikes and securing refunds for consumers.
Well, thank you so much for your service, Jim. Thank you so much for your service. And I think Ken has a final question for you before we let you go.
Hey, Jim, this is important. We spoke briefly about this earlier. There are a number of electric companies that insert themselves between ComEd and the consumer, and they offer them all these great rates, and then eventually it turns out to be a scam, in my opinion. How would you respond to that for these non-regs?
Absolutely. Thank you for bringing that up. So I want to make sure that we're not talking about a solar offer. We're not talking about community solar or any other clean energy option. We're talking about alternative suppliers that go door to door or call you on the phone or send you a mailer and offer you to be their supplier. You're still going to get a ComEd bill, but you'll have another company on your bill supplying you with that electricity. Mm-hmm. Those alternative suppliers have cost Illinois consumers participating in Consumer Choice more than $1.5 billion in higher electric bills over the years. Consumers have overpaid by more than $1.5 billion since 2015 on these alternative suppliers. I want everybody to know that if somebody comes to your door and says they've got a deal and it seems too good to be true, it probably is. Be very careful about alternative suppliers. It's likely that in terms of a supplier, ComEd is your best bet or another clean energy program is your best bet. You know, if you want to make your home more energy efficient, that is a better bet than going with an alternative supplier. So just be very, very careful of any company that comes to your door or calls you on the phone and guarantees you savings. Nobody can guarantee you savings.
Typically, it's been my experience. They'll come in and say, we can save you 10 cents or whatever the rate is, and then 18 months later, they wind up jacking it up. But
yep. On that note,
exactly
Jim, thank you so much for joining us. We'd love to have you come back and visit with us again, because this is a very important conversation that we are having, and I don't think that one go is going to make make people aware of the great services that you have. We'll take a quick break, and on the back end of the break, Ray Hanania is going to be on the line with us, and we'll be talking about the current situation as what's happening in the Middle East, and where are we headed with this thing? That's what I want to focus on. And on that note, folks, let's take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Planning to lay off employees is never easy. Discover the Center for Strategic Solutions, your trusted partner in outplacement services. Are you a company in transition or an individual seeking a new opportunity? Our Chicago-based team specializes in providing personal outplacement services to employees. At the Center for Strategic Solutions, we're not just consultants, we're dedicated to your success. Ready to navigate change with confidence? Contact the Center for Strategic Solutions today at 847-306-9274. Visit us online at www.cfss.us or email info@cfss.us. The Center for Strategic Solutions, empowering employers and job seekers for success in the heart of Chicago.
Welcome back to the Lightning Strike with Mohammed Fahim.
Good morning, folks, and welcome back to the Lightning Strike. And the number to call in is 773-763-9278. We have had an intense show today so far with our guests. And joining us now is Ray Hanania. Ray, good morning and welcome to the Lightning Strike.
Hey, good morning, Mohammed. How are you?
I am doing very well. I wish that you could have come into the studio with us, but it seems that you're up north. What are you doing, hunting?
I have a, like everybody, you buy a house, you pay your mortgage on time, and after 30 years, you pay the mortgage off, and then you sit there and go, yeah, I'm going to be able to save money by putting away my mortgage payment that doesn't have to go to the mortgage. And then after 2 years, I realized I ain't saving anything. So I went out, bought a little lake house up north, and I said, you know what? The best investment, my father told me when I was a kid, was always property. So that's where I'm at, just taking care of the place and relaxing. In these terrible times.
Yeah, I agree with you and your father on that. That's what my father always told me, that, invest in something that you can touch and feel,
Yeah.
And that has been a great advice so far.
One of the best sayings I've ever heard, and a wise man told me this once, he says, Ken, they're making a lot more people, they're not making any more land. So the only place land can go in the long picture is up.
Speaking of
plus
people...
I do a lot of writing, and this is the one place where I can get away, write. I do radio writing, syndicated columns in the Middle East and here, and this is a great place for me to concentrate on my writing.
Well,
and a new book. coming out on Chicago politics.
On Chicago politics, is John mentioned in there at all?
John
Arena, who's in the studio with us, is our host.
John is a good guy. John is a good guy. No, he's not in
Good
there.
save, Ray.
I'm talking about politics that people forgot. Jane Byrne, Mike Bolandic, Richard J. Daley. All the great stories when I first got to City Hall.
Yeah, there's a couple decades before they start writing about my era, the Rahm Emanuel years. Maybe I need to write that book.
Rahm never liked me because he was always afraid I was going to ask him about his father's service in the Irgun. So he would never let me interview him.
I bet.
He refused.
You were on the
I
same.
wasn't going to be mean.
You were on the same list I was. He didn't want to meet with me either. So
Yeah. Oh my gosh, we tried to be nice to him, but he just couldn't get past that. He knew there was no upside for him on that issue.
Yeah, so. I met him a couple of times, and he tried to look me in the eye, but he could look me in the chin, not in the eye, and that was an issue.
Yeah.
when meeting with.
Yeah. Well, he killed the Arab. He killed the Arab presence at City Hall. He destroyed the Arab Advisory Commission, our Arab festival every year. I mean, as soon as he got into office, he went right after us. And I know we're going to be talking about Gaza and everything, but it comes down to one problem in the Arab American community. Mm-hmm. We don't stick together. Arabs and Muslims, we don't stick together. Only the time we stick together is when we're angry and upset and it's emotion-driven. Then we can come out in hordes. There's going to be a protest at, Water Tower today at 12 p.m. downtown to protest what's happening in Gaza. If there's a protest at the time of great crisis, we stand up, we get involved. But once things come down, you don't see us, you don't hear us. I bet they don't. Any Arab Muslim advertisers advertise on your radio show?
Well, we don't have any advertisers at all at this point, Ray. So the idea was to get the show started, and then as we build, an audience. Actually, I wanted to run for office also. That was the initial plan. When John, you were asking me why are we doing the show, then I got into some health issues. I'm like, that's great. I'm not going to run for office, but I'm going to make sure that I increase the awareness of the importance of running for office and supporting the right candidates. We don't have the right people in office at this point. If it was up to me,
we don't.
I would just fire the entire crew from the city to the county to the state to the federal government. We need to replace all of these lemmings, for lack of a better word, with somebody who can come in and actually serve the people that they are, elected to serve. So,
I have a slightly different perspective. Than you.
Go ahead.
There are a lot of good people out there, but when it comes to Arab and Muslim issues, we don't stand up for those people.
Well, when it comes to
a good example.
Not just the Arab and Muslim issues, Ray, when it comes to humanitarian issues also, okay? A lot of the people that pay lip service and then they come to our communities to do fundraising, and our people, again, I am 100% with you on this. There's a lot of people in our community also who just want to be seen with these, politicians and take pictures.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
When it comes,
really hurts.
When it comes to an issue of support, no, they're not going to support us. So, tell me a little bit about your point of view. Have you got family in Gaza?
No. My family, my mother's from Bethlehem. Jesus is my cousin, I like to point out, and my father's from Jerusalem. So we're Palestinian Christian.
Right.
But, I have a lot of friends. As you know, I interviewed the former mayor of Oak Park, who I'm trying to get on the radio for you, and Ann Abu Talib, whose family, sisters and brothers are in Gaza, in northern Gaza, and they've been chased out by the Israeli military. They grabbed what they could before their area was attacked. You live in fear. Now, some people say, well, they're not dead. It's okay. No. Imagine you live in a neighborhood and a criminal commits a terrible act, and the police come down and say, okay, this entire block is going to be destroyed. We're going to bomb the entire block. We're going to arrest everybody. We're going to destroy all your houses. You need to go to Springfield.
Ray, that was a great way to put that in perspective. That was a great way to put that in perspective. I appreciate that.
You know, Ray, I mean,
it's important, and it's not that I support Hamas. I don't support Hamas. I'm against all forms of terrorism, but there's an imbalance in this country.
Absolutely.
And partly I blame my own community.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. There's been a lot of talk about Palestinians and Muslims. Now, as a Palestinian Christian, I know that there's lots of Palestinian Christians and Jews also living in the Gaza area. It's not just the Muslims. And how do you compute that now?
Well, I mean, you have to step back. I mean, we have to look at our roles. And my role here in the United States is to get the one country that has the most influence over Israel, Israel's government, not the Israeli people, Israel's government, and get them to see things the right, fair way. So my objective is to help Americans understand that there's an imbalance here that is morally wrong. It is wrong. What happened October 7th is horrendous.
Yes.
That people should be hunted down and prosecuted, but I still believe in the rule of law. You just don't kill somebody because somebody said he did that. It's the burden of a government. That's why we're a democracy and a government, because we wrap ourselves in a burden to protect innocent people from going and not just going after everybody as guilty. So I need them to understand that October 7th is terrible, and the last 4 weeks of what's happening in Gaza is terrible. But that second part is being suppressed by the Democratic Party and the Republican Party, and unfortunately by the major mainstream news media. I have a hard time getting my voice out on that. Even I've been shadow banned now on Twitter and Facebook because even just calling for justice and fairness is too much for some people. You know, if you're not wanting the Palestinians to be destroyed in Gaza, then you must be a terrorist. I've been called that by people, and it's horrible. And they've said worse things. That's the problem today. You know, we're drunk with anger and emotion, and our people, Arabs and Muslims, are doing the exact same thing. They're angry. They're reacting to the anger with emotion, and their emotion is leading them to do things. They're not being strategic. They're not being effective.
One of the things that we are trying to do, at least Ray, is bring the communities together. When the innocent child was murdered, Wadi al-Fayumi, almost a month back now. On the 14th, it will be a month. We put together the organization that I started, American Muslims Assisting Neighbors, Aman. We put together a vigil in Plainfield. We had about 2,000 people attend and express solidarity for each other. We are following that up on the 15th now with an interfaith and community gathering at one of the local churches in Plainfield. We've got about 150 people that are going to be coming, and we want to foster this brotherhood amongst the communities that, humanity comes first. And then all of this nonsense about, race and religion and political ideologies and all of that, we need to bring the people on the grassroots together, and hopefully that can rise up from the grassroots up to the policy makers. That you better shape up, or shape up or shape out. What do you say?
Well, I agree with that. The only problem is you're getting a lot of support from elected officials like the governor and senators and all these people. But I'm going to tell you one thing. They see a difference between Arab and Muslim. In the eyes of, and I've covered politics 45 years. When you say Muslim, they're talking mainly about supporting non-Arab Muslims. Rahm Emanuel, the mayor, supported Muslims and had an iftar, but he excluded almost all of the Arabs because there is a problem between politics and the Arab community. They have a problem with us. And if you had said that this wasn't just a Muslim effort but a Palestinian effort, half those politicians would not have shown up to stand up for the moral, righteous thing that you are trying to do. So, but we have to be smart about it. We have to get them out there and then ask them, do you extend that morality to non-Muslims, to Palestinians? Do they do that? And I'm telling you, they run from that because only 22 Democrats voted against censoring Rashida Tlaib, who was speaking out about ceasefire. 22 Democrats. Where were all the Democrats in Illinois? I tell you, I feel bad because I've been a centrist Democrat, a conservative Democrat, a Reagan Democrat, they call them. I believe in politics that 70% is good. And if a politician, I can't agree with a politician 100%, that's okay. But if I can agree with them 70% on major issues, that's good enough for me and should be good enough for everybody.
Okay, I think that's the best that we can ask for. John, you got any questions for Ray?
Well, going back to the issue with what's going on right now, I mean, it seems like they're starting to open up humanitarian lines to at least get some aid into Gaza. But the leadership in Israel is starting to kind of project, what's this going to be after the military finishes whatever its mission is. And it seems like they want to retain control of Gaza in some form. Do you have any insight into that and what that would look like one way or the other?
Yeah, that's a good question, John. I'll tell you what, the Israelis controlled Gaza from 1967 until 2005. One reason they left in 2005 was that the oppression of the people who lived in Gaza was so great that these Gaza civilians started rebelling with Hamas and non-Hamas against the Israelis, and the Israeli military was suffering great losses. So in 2005, they withdrew their settlements, they withdrew their military, they surrounded Gaza like an ironclad wall, and it became an open-air prison.
Yeah.
The bottom line is you can't kill anger and emotional and Hamas ideology that's driven by anger and suffering. The only way to kill it is to ease the suffering, to reach out to people, to be fair to people, to treat them fairly. Right now, they're not killing Hamas. They're making far more Hamas.
Yeah.
They are creating far more Hamas supporters, not just in the Gaza, but in the West Bank. I'm worried about my families live in the West Bank, in Nazareth, in the Christian areas in Beit Jala, the Christian Triangle in Bethlehem, and in Jerusalem, and in Ramallah. And I'm telling you that they're angry, they're being abused every day, and nobody says anything about it. And that's going to explode into a bigger threat than Hamas.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like, anybody's learned this lesson of the more oppression does not equal victory. It never leads to victory. It just leads to more hate and anger. Well, I pray for your family there, and thanks for that insight.
Okay, I think we have a caller on the line, Ray. If you don't mind, if you can stand by for a second. Let's see. We got Ruth Parsons who wants to chime in with a couple of her thoughts. So, Ruth, good morning. Welcome to WCPT. You're on. You got a question for Ray or any one of us over here? Go ahead.
Mohammed, it's Reem Townsend, actually.
Oh, hang on. So thank you so much, Reem. It came up with Ruth Parson. I'm like, who's Ruth Parson? Reem, thank you for calling in. Folks, Reem Townsend is a DuPage County, council member. And Reem, thank you so much for calling in. What are you up to today?
Yeah, thanks for having me. So I just wanted to share that the National Families for Ceasefire is holding 18 events across the country today to call for a ceasefire. One of those events is being organized by me at the Levy Center Garden. That's 251 Canterbury Lane in Bolingbrook at 11:30. And basically, if anybody wants to get involved in any of the events today, they can go to familiesforceasefire.org.
familiesforceasefire.org. I wish more and more people would pay attention to that, and our politicians start taking notice and start calling for ceasefire. And Reem, do you know how many of our Illinois leaders have called for a ceasefire? Have you got any numbers, names on that?
Well, I know that my congressional leader, Bill Foster, has not called for a ceasefire despite me begging him over and over again.
Right.
I don't know how many. I know Chuy Garcia has. I know Delia Ramirez has. And they are the usual allies to Palestinian liberation. Beyond that, I really don't know.
Yeah, I don't think that Lauren Underwood has called for also.
Reem is doing a great job because I follow her and see all the stuff she does out there. You know, we need more activists like her. Yeah, I'm getting old, but we need younger people to bring out this activism, you know, to get people to do the right thing. We're not asking anybody to do anything wrong. We're asking them to do the right thing. And it is upsetting when there are members of Congress who won't do the right thing because they're worried about politics and political repercussion. So, Reem, keep doing what you're doing.
And that is something
will have an impact.
That is something that I have been consistently asking our president also to step up and be a statesman and stop being a politician. Reem, thank you so much for calling in. I think we got Amin on the line. Amin, thank you for calling in. I've got Ray Hanania here as our guest today, calling in. And so, Amin, you got a question for Ray or any one of us? We got 5 minutes to finish off, and we'll finish off with your last question over here.
Okay, peace be with you. That wasn't really a question. I want to comment on some of the things that were said by simply expressing that things don't change as long as we keep thinking the way we think. And the problem with society and its lack of humanity is that we live in an oppressive word society. For instance, we use the term an open-air prison. But if you really stop and think about it, when you hear the word prison, you don't think of innocent people. You think of guilty people, someone that's done something wrong. Mm-hmm. So when we use a term like that, we're subconsciously thinking, well, something's wrong with these people. I mean, even though you have a good heart, it's better to speak of it as an open-air concentration camp. Yeah, now you're thinking about people.
Well, even concentration camp as a negative. Even concentration
but the people in a concentration
works negative to it.
Yep.
Yes.
But isn't the reason for saying that is to express the shock value of what they're being subject to? So what word would be a good word if it isn't one of those two?
Gentlemen?
Well, as I said, concentration camp, you usually think in terms of a person, of people being unjustly oppressed. In prison, you think of people that's been doing something wrong.
He's got a point there.
There are a lot of innocent people in prison. Over the years, one thing I've learned about being a Chicago City Hall reporter, sadly, too many innocent people end up in prison. That's another problem in our society, that it's too easy to rig the system, and if you can't find the real killer, you want to make yourself look good, you blame somebody else, put them in jail. So, but I understand, you make a good point, though. Thank you.
Ray, that's a great segue. For anyone who's interested, we're going to have next week Michelle Alfano on, and she has a lot of really good things to share with people about the problem that you've just expressed about innocent people being in prison. It's going to be a killer show, so tune into that next week.
Well, just to give you guys a heads up, we're going to be talking about a gentleman. His last name is Trang, and he has actually been in prison for about 15, 16 years now?
16 years. He went into a college. We're not going to name which college because he's still in prison, by the way. But we're not going to talk about where he's at because he can suffer some severe consequences before the show.
Yep.
But what happened is he was a young kid, a freshman. In college. He had too much to drink. He wasn't used to drinking. He got to a point where he had to relieve himself. He did so in front of some people. A girl complained. They arrested him, and now he's in prison serving a ridiculous amount of time for
peeing in public.
A sex offender, which that's not even a thing.
Okay.
What he's doing, yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah, so there are things that are not so good in our society, and that's where the Lightning Strike is actually trying to put some light on these inequalities in our society. And Ray, thank you so much for joining us. And Amin, thank you so much for calling in. It's about 9:58. Folks, we'll be winding up in a couple of minutes. And again, thank you so much for listening in to the WCPT 820 AM on the Lightning Strike over here. Do remember, that you can always go back and catch the show on Facebook. So you can go to facebook.com/WCPT820, or the show is also being simulcast on facebook.com/TLS Chicago. That is for the Lightning Strike Chicago. And go to the TLS 820 website, also TLSchicago.com website, to catch all the previous shows. And do go and register online for our upcoming Interfaith and Community Gathering on the 15th at Life Spring Church in Plainfield. You can go to Aman Inc., AMANINC.org to get to sign up for this meeting coming up.